So let's talk a little bit about skincare. So I'm gonna see if I can maybe turn toward the light and you can see my skin a little bit better. All right. So this is what my skin is looking like today. It looks pretty good. Normally I'm like squinting my eye because I don't have my glasses on right now. I just took my glasses off and I'm very nearsighted, so I can't really see anything while I'm doing this. But one of my issues is that I have rosacea on my cheeks. I have subtype 1 rosacea, which is not, well, it's difficult to treat. And it can get activated, like irritated pretty quickly with certain things. Triggers for me definitely are heat, exertion, stuff like that, sometimes spicy food. But as you can see, it's not too bad today. Even with, us being outside in the sun and doing a lot of work where we're huffing and puffing because, we're not exactly in shape. So it's doing pretty good. Another thing you might be able to notice about my skin is that it's pretty clear. I had a kind of a crappy like hormonal breakout on my chin for a little while, and it's starting to go away. Like there were some kind of painful blemishes under the skin, and they started to kind of dissipate pretty quickly, and so I'm happy about that. Hello, Dana. Nice to see you. And hello, Rachel. Rachel says, I'm glowing. I knew Rachel was here, but Rachel's like, I'm glowing. I'm glowing. I think probably because I did exercise today, and my skin's like, oh, thank you. My body's like, thank you so much for exercising once in, 7 months. People do this like frequently. You might want to try it sometime. I don't really like to exercise for obvious reasons, but I need to get back into it because it does make me feel better. But anyway, yeah, so as far as my routine goes, I've run out of a couple of products. I've almost run out of a few things. So I've been like really rationing stuff. Some of the things I'm pretty close to running out of are unfortunately the red wine press serum, which I really love, and the cucumber and aloe spray, which I'm very close to running out on. And I'm running low on the peppermint beauty water because I was dumb and I accidentally spilled some in the sink. But everything else I'm doing okay on. I'm going to be very sad when my bamboo cleanser runs out, but I think I still have a little less than half of a bottle left. So I've been kind of thinking about the best ways to use the product so that I can get kind of the maximum benefit out of the little amount that I had. And I posted the other day that I think I probably used too much. Because I'm what is the word I'm looking for? I'm struggling with words today like you were earlier, Rachel. One of the things that I've been sort of talking to other folks in the group about is like how much to use, and I think I have been using too much stuff. So I'm going to go back to using really, really small amounts because Sabbatical beauty products are pretty potent, so you don't need a ton. Dana says your skin is perfect. It's really not, but thank you very much. I think this light is pretty flattering. I do have a couple of little blemishes. Like I do have like a little whitehead here, like on the bottom of my chin. I can just feel it right now. But as I was mentioning, I had a little bit of a hormonal breakout on my chin. I had like 4 or 5. Yes, words are falling out of my brain. Yeah, I do that too, Rachel, where the words fall out of my brain, but then I try to catch them and then they just disintegrate and it just becomes terrible. How to English. The worst part is when that happens to me when I'm teaching my students and I'm trying to explain something to them and the words just aren't coming out right, and I just feel I'm supposed to be an English teacher. I'm supposed to be a writing teacher. We're human. What can I say? But yeah, so I had a little bit of a hormonal breakout and it has calmed down significantly. I had some stuff under the skin kind of right here. And, the breakouts that I get around here now they're like cystic. And so they're sort of under the skin and they're painful, But as I've been, staying consistent with my skincare routine, like none of them really like erupted. They all kind of like receded back into my skin and they don't hurt anymore, which is awesome. So yay for the summer box for soothing that out. So my routine that I did this morning was like super limited. I actually just swiped some peppermint beauty water on my face and then put on a little bit of coconut serum and then my SPF and just went out to do my stuff. And then this evening I washed with the oatmeal and rice cleansing grains, which I really like. I like the really light exfoliation that I get with those, and coconut serum, more honey, which I have been putting on all over my face. I was just doing it on my cheeks for a while because I have some texture on my cheeks from some, like, I don't know, like if it's keratin or like just breakouts that's just chilling there. I don't know. You can't really tell. It's not super red or anything, but you can, if you were to come close and like touch my face, it's like texture kind of along my jawline. And it's really bad here on the left side, but it's starting to get smoothed out from the more honey. And this side is really starting to get smooth as well. And then following from what Cindy suggested that I do, I've been using the After Sun on my cheeks to kind of continue to soothe the rosacea that I have. Always using the anti-aging eye gel oil, which is so great, and you need very, very little of that. And so that's helping to keep my under eyes nice and hydrated. And then finishing with chamomile cream, and that's what been my summer moisturizer, which I know is pretty intense, but I know that chamomile cream is good for people who have breakouts. So far, it's not made me break out any worse, so it's the bomb. So that was my super abbreviated morning routine and kind of like my full evening routine. I try to be pretty consistent with my routines in the evening and try to do as much as I can, even if my morning routines are a little bit abbreviated. So, oh yes, so I said that I was going to talk about throwback stuff today. So one of the things that got me thinking about that today was this movie that we watched this evening while we were eating dinner. So I read about this movie just like randomly on a blog post, and it's on Netflix right now. It's also on Amazon Prime, but Netflix has the better transfer and better like subtitles if you have trouble hearing sometimes. And it's called Turbo Kid, and it is this kind of neo-retro film. It's made to look like it was made in the 80s. It has those kind of themes and things from it that have that 80s feel, kind of like Stranger Things has that 80s feel, but it's like a Road Warrior-esque theme, so it's like this post-apocalypse, but the apocalypse is like in 1997, and it's basically similar plot to like Road Warrior, Mad Max, except with a kid and instead of an adult, and of course they're rationing for water, and instead of having like trucks and stuff, it's like bikes. And it was really fun. There's a lot of crazy, silly violence, like crazy blood everywhere, and there's a robot, and it was fun to watch. It was a fun like popcorn movie. Someone obviously went the extra mile, tried to make it seem very retro and throwback. So that got me thinking about throwback stuff and the kinds of things that I like. I like to listen to a lot of synthwave music, like sort of neo retro synthwavey stuff, kind of like the soundtrack to Drive, but sort of amplified quite a bit. And obviously I like Stranger Things. I'm sure a lot of people like it. But one of the things I like to do when I'm thinking about summer is I want to kind of watch the movies that were around when I was a kid, and I'm 38, so I was a kid in the 80s and early 90s. And so I saw E.T. in the theater, and movies like The Goonies are very nostalgic for me. Back to the Future, that kind of stuff. And so Phil and I were thinking of going to see Hotel Artemis soon, and we were thinking, maybe we should go to try to see it at a drive-in, because there's a couple of drive-ins within a reasonable drive for us. And there's one that is doing throwback movies every Thursday night this summer, and tonight they're doing Back to the Future. Awesome. Next Thursday night they're showing at the drive-in The Goonies, and I kind of really want to go. And in July they're actually showing E.T. as well. So I want to know, what are your favorite like 80s throwbacky movies that always make you smile? What are your throwback favorites on this Throwback Thursday? What are you nostalgic for? I think that people like my age and my husband Phil's age, we're teenagers in the 90s, kids in the 80s. We're definitely still having a moment because the 90s are very popular now. The 80s were pretty popular for a while. So what are your throwbacks, favorite movies? Oh, awesome. Hi, Kimberly. Kimberly says, Weird Science, amazing. Love Weird Science and Ferris Bueller, always a classic. Can't tell you how many times I've seen Ferris Bueller. Love it. Those are awesome. Gotta love those. John Hughes is just the best. I've seen Breakfast Club just a kabillion times, and I actually have a whole set of Funko Pops of the characters from the Breakfast Club that my husband bought me as a gift one year. He's a Funko Pop collector, and so I have all of the characters from Breakfast Club as Funko Pops. Kimberly says, Dirty Dancing and all those. Crybaby. Oh, yeah, Crybaby, too. Dirty Dancing for sure. Dirty Dancing's in those movies I've seen a lot. It's not my favorite, but definitely it makes me feel very nostalgic. Gap says, Breakfast Club is also one of my favorites. Breakfast Club forever, just the best. Phil's been singing, probably because we saw Deadpool not long ago, Phil's been singing Take On Me by a-ha like nonstop and playing it a lot. And he's also been singing Don't You Forget About Me. Anne says, Cherry 2000. Wait, I think I might have seen part of that movie, Cherry 2000. Yeah. I think I know what movie you're talking about. I think I might have seen that. Other throwbacks for me that I love. This one, a little bit later, I think this might have been like early 90s, but The Burbs with Tom Hanks. Anybody for The Burbs? I friggin' love that one. Hi, Alyssa. Alyssa says Breakfast Club's one of my all-time favorites. St. Elmo's Fire, too. Oh, God, St. Elmo's Fire. That movie is just so good. And I love the soundtrack. I love John Parr. Van in Motion, St. Elmo's Fire. I could just listen to that all the time. Love it. If anybody is, like, a fan of that, like, 80s synthy soundtracky music, I could, like, make a cool playlist for you or, like, recommend a playlist of that kind of stuff that's more modern to listen to, because I love synthwave, and if you want to get into that, like, 80s mindset, this is, like, the music to do it. Kimberly says Airplane and Top Gun. Dude, Airplane is just beyond classic. Darcy says, I love The Burbs. The Burbs is just unsung classic film. The Burbs is, I could watch that movie a million times. Just peak Corey Feldman, peak Feldman in The Burbs, and just amazing stuff all around. I'm also a fan of, let's see, like I said, Goonies, E.T., what other? Gremlins. Oh, hell yeah, Gremlins. Kimberly says Gremlins. Yes. Another, I guess, throwback for me, because it's from the 70s and then 80s, are the Alien films. I love Alien. Alien is one of my favorite films of all time. And so I have a ton. I actually collect some little figurines from the Alien films. Love them. Kimberly says, Die Hard, Lost Boys, Karate Kid. Holy shit, Lost Boys. That's probably on my top 10 list. Top 10 films that I love all time, for sure. The Lost Boys. Absolutely love it. Anne agrees Lost Boys are best. Yes. Kimberly says Beetlejuice. That's a great one. My cats' names are Hudson and Vasquez. Good. That's awesome. Oh, God. I love the Lost Boys so much. Just, yeah, my top 10 list of favorite movies. that I've like thought about over and over. Definitely Breakfast Club and definitely Lost Boys are on that list for sure. Yeah. Kimberly says Never Ending Story. Oh God, I almost forgot about that one. That movie. I love that movie. And then Platoon. I would never judge you about Platoon. It's a good movie. Gab says I forgot about Lost Boys. Got to watch that again. Lost Boys is the shit. I think we can all agree the Lost Boys rules. Yeah. Love it. Never Ending Story has a special place in my heart because I think like my first like major crush was on Atreyu from Never Ending Story. So shout out to anybody who like had a sexual awakening with Atreyu from Never Ending Story. I might be the only one. It's cool, you know. Kimberly says last one, Full Metal Jacket, excellent film. I was also thinking about like Ghostbusters. Can't help but love Ghostbusters. Now that's a movie I would love to see in a drive-in theater would be Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters would be awesome. Full Metal Jacket is still a classic. I love to quote the drill sergeant in Full Metal Jacket. Kimberly says I'm not the only one with the Atreyu crush. Beverly Hills Cop. Oh yeah. Beverly Hills Cop forever. Oh my God. I just thought thinking about Eddie Murphy. Who here is all about Coming to America with Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall? This is like one of those movies that could not be made today, but is so brilliant. Coming to America. Holy God. Such a good movie. And if you are like a younger person and don't know that movie, I really think that it's genius and you should watch it. Kimberly says Ghostbusters Marathon with the new one. Oh, totally. Yeah. So those are some throwbacks for sure. Man. Coming to America. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Anybody for Purple Rain? I know that there's some people who are standing for Purple Rain. I think today's Prince's birthday. So Purple Rain, if you need to like watch a late night movie tonight, maybe you should watch Purple Rain. Yeah, that would be tight. Listen to me, that'd be tight. Like I'm 14 or something. It's terrible. Yeah, thanks, dear. Thanks. I'm yeah, that's the great thing about being me is I'm 38 years old, but I kind of have like the sense of humor of a 14-year-old boy. So I think I've regressed in some parts of my life. But anyway, I'm supposed to be talking about skincare too. So I did talk about my routine a little bit. I was wondering if anybody had any questions about it. We've kind of been with the summer box for quite some time already. Whew, we're yawning. Again, I'm super tired. So, yeah. If any questions about that. Prince would have been 60 today, Kimberly says. God, ain't that some shit. To lose Prince and David Bowie in the same year was like cruel. And then, you know, current evil overlord in the White House the same year. 2016 was a rough one. Yeah. Prince, David Bowie, Carrie Fisher, all left us in the same year. Yeah, that was rough. George Michael died that year too. God, this is getting depressing. But yeah, Prince would have been 60 today, so everyone act a little bit funky and be a sexy MF for Prince because he would want you to today. Isn't that right, honey? Okay, thank you. I really think that Sabbatical Beauty should like have some kind of purple product. I think the Unicorn Dreams one was a little bit purplish, but I don't know. I'd love to see like a serum that was like the Purple Rain serum or something. That you know just had like purple stuff in it, like I don't know, like something violet extract or something with lavender or I don't know, like blackberries or something, like the Purple Rain serum or Purple Rain cream. That would be cool. Anyway, so my routine's been working out great. My skin is looking pretty good. I've been, if you know me, I've been working part-time for the last couple weeks. I got a part-time job, and so on days when I work, I do put on makeup in the mornings, and my makeup's been going on really good. I haven't had to use a lot of concealer or anything to cover up any blemishes. I've been using a very light coverage foundation, which has been nice in this, sort of in the heat that we've been having. So yeah, I've been feeling really confident about how my skin looks since I've been using all the Summer Box products, which has been great. Sorry, I keep playing with my hair. I have that terrible. It's like a terrible habit I have, and also my hair is drying, so I'm like trying to get air into it to dry it out. But anyway, so it's been 26 minutes and starting to storm quite a bit outside here. We're having some thunderstorm bands kind of move in here on East Central Indiana. So I might wrap this up in case we have power issues. Sometimes the power will blink out when we have storms. This is kind of a common thing if you're from the Midwest. So I'm probably going to wrap this up. So if you are watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe to the Sabbatical Beauty channel. And keep checking out the kinds of things that we've been doing. I know that there is a new bot that will inform you of when we have Sabbatical Beauty Lives. So Marissa, I think, shared that link earlier. And lots of just cool stuff is still happening here with the Summer Box reviewers. But we are coming into our final week with the Summer Box reviews, I believe next week. So if you kind of want to hear our final impressions, keep staying tuned in the group so that we can kind of give you our final assessments of how it's been with the Summer Box. It's been great for me. I've definitely been enjoying everything that I've used, and my skin's been looking great, been feeling good. So that's all from me this evening. Tune back in tomorrow. Someone else will be in, and I will see you guys in the group some other time. All right. Bye, guys. Have a good night.